Pushpin disclaimer. This story is a fictional narrative written for emotional and entertainment purposes. While it may reflect realistic experiences and human emotions, all characters, events, and situations are purely imaginary. Any resemblance to actual people, living or dead, or real-life events is entirely coincidental. This story is not intended to promote or encourage any dangerous behavior. Reader discretion is advised due to emotional and suspenseful content. It was almost 10:30 p.m. on a quiet Thursday when my phone buzzed unexpectedly. I glanced at the screen, expecting maybe a notification or a message from Emma, my best friend since high school, but instead, it was a text from Ryan, her younger brother. "Hey, are you free? I need a ride." I stared at the message for a moment. Ryan? We hadn't spoken more than 10 sentences in the past few years, and now he was randomly texting me for a ride at night? I frowned, debating whether to respond. I messaged back, "Hey, where are you? Is everything okay?" His reply was quick. "Near Main Street. It's urgent. I just really need a lift. Please." Something about the word urgent gave me a strange chill. I sat on the edge of my bed, thinking it over. Ryan was Emma's younger brother, barely 19. She had always talked about how he'd gotten a little distant lately. Moody, secretive, staying out late, avoiding family dinners. Emma had even joked once that he was probably just being dramatic, but I could sense the worry in her voice. I dialed Emma first, just to be sure. Straight to voicemail. I hesitated for another minute, then grabbed my keys and jacket. I didn't know what kind of trouble Ryan was in, but I couldn't leave him stranded, not when he reached out to me of all people. The streets were quiet as I drove through our small town. Streetlights flickered occasionally, casting long shadows across the road. My mind kept spinning, why me? Why not Emma? Or one of his guy friends? When I finally reached the location Ryan sent, an empty lot near a closed gas station, my headlights caught him sitting alone on the curb. He stood up quickly when he saw my car, clutching something under his hoodie. He slid into the passenger seat without saying a word. His eyes were darting around nervously, and he didn't make eye contact. "Hey," I said gently. "You okay? What's going on?" "Can you just drive?" he said, his voice low, urgent. "I'll explain later. Please." I paused, feeling my stomach tighten. Every instinct screamed to ask more questions, but something in his voice made me turn the key and pull back onto the road. Whatever this was, it wasn't just a casual favor. As we drove into the dark night, a strange silence filled the car, thick with unspoken tension. Ryan looked like he was running from something, but I had no idea yet what I'd just gotten myself into. The tires hummed softly against the road, but the silence inside the car was deafening. I kept glancing at Ryan out of the corner of my eye, trying to make sense of his tense posture. He had his hoodie pulled over his head, hands buried deep in the front pocket, and his eyes darted around like he expected something or someone to appear out of the shadows. "Ryan," I finally said, keeping my voice calm, "you're scaring me. Are you in some kind of trouble?" He didn't respond at first. Instead, he leaned forward slightly and checked the side mirror. Then he sat back, breathing heavily. "I didn't know who else to call," he muttered. "Emma would have freaked out. You're the only one I trust who wouldn't immediately call Mom or the cops." That wasn't exactly comforting. "You're still not telling me what's going on," I said. "You text me in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, looking like..." I stopped myself. "Like you're hiding from someone." His jaw clenched. "Because I am." A chill ran through me. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. "Ryan, what did you do?" He exhaled, long and shaky, then leaned back against the headrest. "Nothing illegal. Not really. I got caught up in something stupid. I made a mistake. I wanted to pull over right then and there and tell him to get out. But I didn't. Maybe it was because I'd known him since he was a goofy little kid following Emma and me around during sleepovers. Maybe it was the look in his eyes, fear mixed with shame. Whatever it was, it kept my foot on the gas. The streets were starting to blur together as we left the edge of town. We passed shuttered stores, dimly lit intersections, and long stretches of road with nothing but trees on either side. Every now and then, Ryan would glance behind us, clearly checking for something or someone. I don't think we're being followed, I said, trying to sound steady. You want to tell me where we're going? He hesitated. There's a place I need to stop. Not far. 10 minutes from here. No, I said instantly. I'm not just driving you around without knowing what's going on. You need to be honest with me. I will be, he said quickly. After this. I promise. I just need to grab something. Something important. I pressed my lips together, torn. I was already too far in to just walk away. But I could feel it, the shift. This wasn't just a favor anymore. It was something heavier. As we turned onto a dark back road, the silence between us felt more dangerous than anything else. Whatever Ryan was caught up in, it wasn't over. Not yet. Turn left here, Ryan said suddenly, pointing to a narrow, unmarked road. His voice had urgency in it, but he wasn't panicking yet. I slowed down, peering into the pitch-black path ahead. Where does this go? Just trust me, he said, his eyes scanning the area. It won't take long. I hesitated. My instincts screamed no. Everything about this felt wrong. The road ahead looked more like a private driveway or an abandoned access road than a proper street. But I turned anyway. The tires crunched over gravel, and the trees closed in around us, branches reaching toward the windshield like fingers. My headlights barely pierced the darkness. We passed no houses, no signs of life, until finally, a small, crooked mailbox appeared on the right. A rundown one-story house sat tucked behind tall hedges, with its front light barely glowing. This is it, Ryan said. I'll be quick. Ryan, what is this place? I asked, keeping the engine running. He shifted in his seat, anxious. Just an old contact. I need to grab something. That's all. Stay in the car. Before I could argue, he was out the door. I watched him jog up the steps, knock on the door once, and disappear inside. No lights came on. The door creaked shut behind him, and suddenly I was alone. I locked the doors. My fingers drummed nervously on the steering wheel. Every second stretched painfully long. I kept looking at the house, trying to spot movement through the windows, but everything stayed still, unnaturally still. Minutes passed. 5. Then 10. I checked my phone. No signal. Panic started to rise in my chest. What if he'd been lured here? What if I was the one being set up? Why didn't I make him tell me more before bringing him here? Suddenly, something moved behind the curtain of the front window. I squinted. A shadow. A tall figure, just standing there, watching me. My breath caught. I reached for the gear shift, ready to bolt, when the door burst open and Ryan came running out, clutching a duffel bag. His face was pale, his breath ragged. Drive. Now, he shouted, yanking the passenger door open. What happened? I asked, fumbling to shift into reverse. No time, he yelled, slamming the door shut. They're coming. I backed up so fast the car nearly fishtailed. In the rearview mirror, I saw two men appear at the doorway, both large, both angry. One of them shouted something and stepped forward. The other pulled out a phone. Go! Ryan yelled again. I didn't need to be told twice. I slammed the gas pedal, and the car rocketed back down the gravel path. My heart was hammering in my chest. What did you just do? I yelled. I'll explain. Just get us out of here. And as we hit the main road again, tires screeching, I knew one thing for sure. We were in serious trouble. The road blurred under the wheels as I gripped the steering wheel tighter than I ever had in my life. My hands were trembling, my heart thudding so loud it drowned out the sound of Ryan's heavy breathing beside me. Who were those guys? I demanded, barely able to keep my voice steady. They were supposed to help me, Ryan said, shaking his head. I thought I could trust them. I thought they'd understand. But they changed their minds. They threatened to call someone worse. Worse than them. I snapped, swerving back onto the highway. Are you kidding me, Ryan? You dragged me into this, and you're still speaking in riddles. I didn't know what else to do, he shouted back, almost pleading. I was just trying to get out. That bag, it has proof. Stuff they don't want anyone to see. What kind of proof? I asked, glancing at the duffel bag on the floor between us. Ryan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, photos. Messages. Locations. Things they've done to people. I took a risk copying it from a shared drive before they noticed. That's what I went back for. You're telling me you stole evidence from some criminal ring? I asked in disbelief. They're not just dealers, he whispered. They run people, blackmail them, ruin lives. I was stupid to ever get involved, but once I realized what they were doing, I couldn't walk away. My mouth was dry. Every word he said sounded crazier than the last, but the fear in his eyes was real. This wasn't a teenage mistake. This was serious. And then, headlights flared in the rearview mirror. What's that? I said. Ryan twisted around. They found us. A black SUV was speeding toward us, gaining fast. It had no headlights on until it was almost too close to miss. Take the next exit, Ryan yelled. I veered sharply, tires screeching as we flew onto a narrow ramp leading toward a more rural road. The SUV followed. They're not going to let us go, I said, panic rising in my throat. Ryan reached into the bag and pulled something out, a flash drive. We have to get this to someone safe. Anyone. Even the police. You think they'll believe us? I asked as we flew through an empty stretch of road, trees flashing past. They'll have to, he said. Because if they don't, they'll find us. And this won't end well. The SUV stayed with us, close, almost ramming the back of my car. I swerved again, desperate to lose them. This wasn't just a late-night ride anymore. We were being hunted. And I had no idea if we'd make it out. We finally shook them. After 20 minutes of winding through back roads and cutting across an old construction site, the black SUV vanished into the distance. I pulled over near an abandoned rest stop, turned off the engine, and sat in stunned silence. My fingers were aching from gripping the steering wheel so tightly. Ryan sat next to me, drenched in sweat, breathing like he'd just run a marathon. The duffel bag rested between us like a cursed object neither of us wanted to touch. I turned toward him, voice low and cold. You're going to tell me everything. Now. Ryan nodded, slowly, like he'd been waiting for this moment too. It started with a party, he said. A couple of months ago. A guy invited me and a few others to this private event out in the hills. It looked expensive. Flashy. Too good to be real. He paused, swallowed hard. It wasn't just a party. It was a recruitment. I felt a knot twist in my stomach. They called themselves a network, he continued. Told us they could help with money, connections, even protection if we joined. At first, I thought it was all fake. Just weird rich kid talk. But then they gave me an actual job. Running errands. Delivering packages. No questions asked. I closed my eyes for a second. I could already see where this was going. I didn't know what was in the packages, Ryan said. But I knew something wasn't right. Then I started seeing things. Meetings where people were threatened. Kids who disappeared after getting too close. Surveillance footage, videos of people being blackmailed. It wasn't just drugs. They were trapping people. Owning them. He reached down and unzipped the duffel bag. Inside, among some clothes and chargers, was a padded envelope. He pulled it out and handed it to me. I opened it and found a flash drive, a small notebook filled with names and dates, and printed screenshots of messages, graphic threats, coded language, dark web handles. This is everything I've collected, Ryan said. I copied it from one of their drives before they noticed. I was going to send it anonymously, but then I panicked. I looked at the evidence in my hands, then at him. So you called me? Yeah, he whispered. Because I didn't want to die alone. And I didn't want to bring Emma into it. She's all I have left. I didn't know who else to trust. The weight of his words hit me hard. I looked back at the road behind us, half expecting headlights to reappear. We need to go to the police, I said. Now. He hesitated. What if they're in on it? I didn't answer. I didn't know. But one thing was clear, we had to try. Because if we didn't, we'd never stop running. We sat under the dim yellow light of the abandoned rest stop for a few more minutes, the weight of Ryan's confession hanging thick in the air. Outside, the wind rustled the leaves and made the silence even more suffocating. I had so many questions, too many to ask all at once. But one thing was certain, we couldn't stay here. I need to call Emma, I said, unlocking my phone. Ryan shot me a panicked look. No, don't bring her into this. She's your sister, Ryan. She deserves to know you're okay. He opened his mouth to argue, then lowered his head. Okay, he whispered. Just don't tell her everything. Not yet. I nodded and hit the call button. To my relief, Emma picked up on the second ring. Hello? Oh my God, where are you? I've been calling you for an hour. Emma, listen to me, I said calmly. Ryan's with me. He's safe for now. But he's in serious trouble. I need you to trust me. What? What kind of trouble? What's going on? She asked, her voice shaky and rising. I can't explain everything over the phone. Just stay home. Don't tell anyone. Don't even answer the door unless you know who it is. Please. There was a long pause. Then she whispered, You're scaring me. I know. I'm sorry. But I'll explain everything. I promise. After I hung up, I looked at Ryan. He looked drained, physically and emotionally exhausted. I could see the boy Emma used to talk about, the one who built tree houses and rode bikes. Now he was sitting next to me, tangled in something far more dangerous than either of us could handle alone. We can't keep running, I said. We need to go to the police. Ryan rubbed his hands over his face. I've seen what they can do. If they find out I went to the cops, I'm dead. We're both dead. I don't even know if we can trust them. What's the alternative? Hide forever. I snapped. I was hoping to disappear, he muttered. Leave town. Change my name. Get lost. That's not a solution, Ryan. That's a delay. He went quiet again. I could tell he was battling himself inside. Half of him wanted to run. The other half was begging to come clean. His eyes shifted toward the duffel bag again. Maybe there's another way, he said slowly. Someone outside the department. A journalist or a federal contact. Someone with nothing to lose. That could take days, even weeks, I said. We don't have that kind of time. They're already after you. A loud ping startled us both. My phone buzzed with a new message. From an unknown number. We know where you are. Stop driving. My blood froze. Ryan looked at the screen and his face turned pale. They're tracking us. We locked eyes. We had to move. And fast. I slammed my foot on the gas pedal, tires screeching as we sped away from the rest stop. My hands were shaking, but I kept my eyes on the road. Ryan sat stiffly beside me, staring down at the flash drive in his hand like it was the trigger to a bomb. That message, I said through clenched teeth. They know where we are. They're watching us. Ryan nodded, too stunned to speak. The glow of the phone screen illuminated the panic in his face. We go to the police now, I said firmly. This ends tonight. He didn't argue this time. We drove straight to the nearest station, 20 minutes away. Every stoplight felt like a trap, every parked car like an ambush. But we made it. As soon as I pulled into the parking lot, I noticed Ryan hesitate. What? I asked. He took a deep breath. What if they don't believe me? What if they're part of it? I turned to him. Then we'll know. But right now, this is our only shot. We walked into the station together, and I told the desk officer we needed to speak to someone immediately about a criminal ring. He raised an eyebrow but called for a detective. Within minutes, we were taken into a quiet room with harsh fluorescent lighting and a two-way mirror. Detective Morrison walked in, a middle-aged man with tired eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. He listened to everything. Ryan told his story, haltingly at first, then with more detail. He showed them the flash drive. I added my part, explained the chase, the messages, the men we saw, everything. At first, Morrison looked skeptical. But when his assistant returned after scanning the flash drive, everything changed. There's enough on here to open a full investigation, Morrison said grimly. Names. Transaction logs. Locations. You weren't exaggerating. Ryan leaned forward. So you believe me? I believe something big is going on, Morrison said. We've had whispers about a network like this operating under the radar, but never had a witness brave enough to come forward. Until now. The words seemed to hit Ryan like a wave. His face collapsed into his hands, and I saw his shoulders shaking. Not from fear this time, but from release. From the unbearable pressure of carrying a truth no one else knew. Listen carefully, Morrison continued. We're going to protect you. You're under our care now. But once this investigation starts, there's no turning back. These people will know you exposed them. They'll come looking. Ryan nodded. I don't care. I just want them stopped. Morrison gave a small nod of approval. We'll get you to a safe house. You'll need to disappear for a while. He turned to me. You too. You're a key witness. I froze. Me? You were involved. You saw them. You helped. That makes you a target. My heart dropped. My life, my ordinary, boring life, was over. At least for now. But if it meant Ryan would be safe, I could live with that. 3 weeks later, everything felt surreal, like waking up from a nightmare only to find pieces of it still clinging to your skin. I had been relocated under a temporary witness protection program. A modest apartment in a quiet city 2 states away. New phone. New routine. No social media. No contact with anyone but my handler and, occasionally, Emma. She had been devastated when she found out everything. The truth hit her like a truck, what Ryan had been involved in, how close he'd come to being lost completely. For days, she couldn't stop crying. But she didn't blame me. She thanked me. Over and over again. Ryan, on the other hand, had vanished. The authorities had taken him to a secure facility after the first few arrests were made based on the evidence he provided. He was under federal protection now, living under a new name, in a new place. They didn't tell me where. For both our safety. I hadn't heard from him since. Until today. A plain envelope arrived in my mailbox. No return address. No stamp. Just slipped in, quiet and invisible like a whisper. Inside was a handwritten note. Short. Slanted. Familiar. Hey, I know I can't say much, but I'm okay. Really okay. They're still working through the arrests, but it's happening. You probably saved my life. I didn't say it properly, but thank you. I owe you more than I can ever pay back. Maybe one day, we'll meet again when all this is behind us. Until then, stay safe. I read it 3 times, holding it like it was something sacred. My heart ached a little, knowing he was out there but unreachable. But it also brought peace. He was alive. He was trying. And maybe he'd finally stepped out of the darkness. I sat by the window for a long time that afternoon, watching the light shift through the blinds, wondering how quickly life could spin into something unrecognizable. Before that night, I thought I had control over my world. I lived on routines, predictability. Now, I understood how quickly it could all collapse, and how, sometimes, the people we least expect end up pulling us into the fire. But I also learned something else. Bravery doesn't always look like a hero in a cape. Sometimes, it looks like a scared teenager with a flash drive. Or a girl saying yes to a midnight ride without knowing the price. I folded the letter, tucked it back into the envelope, and placed it in the drawer beside my bed. One day, I might forget what that night felt like, the headlights in the mirror, the pounding of my heart, the weight of fear. But I would never forget what it meant. And I would never stop hoping that wherever Ryan was, he found the peace we both fought for. 45.